Welcome to PolyCast, an official podcast of Apolyton Civilization Site.
Daniel Quick,
Makahlua,
Imran Siddiqui,
Cardamandua. With guest co-hosts
Dauphin, Solver.
The introduction could always get Solver to do it. He is an administrator after all. He should be leading by example.
No, I'm here for the actual content.
we have
Wait.
content.
Yeah.
I said it first.
Damn you!
Anthony could do the introduction.
He's pretty much the only person who actually speaks English, so he could.
You think I speak English? Or good English?
Yes, as opposed to our crappy English.
Yeah, it would add a touch of class to our...
Oh, you're barking up the wrong tree for that. This week on PolyCast, an official podcast of Apolyton Civilization Site, we have Dan Quick,
That is me.
Solver,
Hello.
Imran Siddiqui,
Hey!
Makahlua,
The freshly caffeinated.
and myself, Dauphin.
It's been a while since either Dolphin or Solver have been on the show.
Thankfully.
Oh.
What if Alpha Centauri has no planets? Yeah. So much for the Civ series, I guess, and the space race victory and colonizing.
Yeah, I'm not sure I could live with that. I always thought that the Alpha Centauri game is a true story. So if it has no planets, then we're pretty screwed.
Oops.
Favorite Civ IV era music and music in PC games in general? For me, favorite Civ IV era music, classic. Favorite music from PC games? That's a bit harder to choose. I guess it's more of a nostalgic sort of thing, but I always liked the music that came with the Commander Keen series, if anyone ever played that.
Ages ago.
He still hums it at night.
I like the music from Megalomania.
I oddly find myself humming Morrowind's main theme thing a lot.
I like the music from Silent Hill, too.
Kind of like the Fallout music.
And back in the Civ IV music, I always like the people are the heroes when I get into the modern era.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And of course, Baba Yetu. I do remember the music in Diablo, or the original. Fairly haunting sounding and matched the mood of the game perfectly.
You know, this really sounds like a bunch of old farts discussing games that are over a decade old.
Well, I remember the music in Pong. It was great.
Let's have to ask what music in Pong.
They should have had some dance music in behind.
You are so very, very strange sometimes.
Sometimes?
Well, most of the time, but sometimes you're stranger than others.
In the news, we discussed the new 3.17 patch for Civilization IV Beyond the Sword being released, and the wondrous announcement of Civilization IV Colonization coming to a PC near you this fall.
In the Senate, we discuss how to use the national parks and ask the question, adopt now or wait when founding a religion.
In the forum talk, we talked about what things we might want less of in Civ, if diplomatic victory was too easy. Some people seem to think the Ballista Elephant is the crappiest unique unit. There's got to be a better way to use commandos, and some people would like some multi-level maps, kind of like Master of Magic.
And in the research lab, we discussed the possibility of sabotage units such as thieves, bandits, and pirates.
Here's what's been making news in the Civ community.
All right, if you think so.
Just because you don't play Civilization doesn't mean the patch is of no interest to people who listen.
I didn't say it was of no interest.
Of little interest, whichever. Close enough.
There's the patch!
So, Patch, at last, the lead designer on Civilization IV Beyond the Sword, Alex Manzares, made it official. The 3.17 patch has been released, although the README that comes with it is a little outdated. So he posted what the full README is over on Apolyton, and we'll talk about that momentarily. It is important to note on multiplayer, when it comes to save games, if you happen to have an administrative password, from what I've read, you're going to want to remove that before you install the patch. Otherwise, it will not work. Single-player save games have been reported to open fine still. There is one little bug that Solver has already fixed.
There are actually already 2 bugs, and I have already fixed both.
Oh, 2 bugs?
Yeah.
Oh.
1 bug, 2 bugs.
The first one was that the patch adds the option to disable espionage when playing a new game, and in case you did that, you would never be able to see the demographic information on other civs.
Well, I don't think much of being able to disable espionage to begin with anyway.
It was a pretty popular request, actually.
I know, that's because people are nuts. Game.
Oh, hate mail.
Wait! There's also, I read, an issue possibly with those running Vista.
There always is.
That's okay, I don't play the game anymore.
If I've understood it correctly, if in Vista you're in Beyond the Sword and you download the patch in-game, it has a bit of a fit, so then you need to go where you installed Beyond the Sword and where it placed the patch file, which is under your documents, my games, Beyond the Sword, and patches, and then run it manually.
Mm.
The patch is also a bit of a substantial size, around 177 megabytes. You can download it from Apolyton and don't have to wait in line like some places.
Planet.
Among the number of highlights through gameplay, one of the larger ones, at least in terms of what we talked about on this show, is in regards to global warming. Global warming in forests and jungles just removes those features without turning the plot to desert. Global warming takes into account the number of forests and jungles in the world, and global warming is affected by unhealthy buildings in addition to nuclear explosions. So Heraclitus, who was on episode 481, is apparently very, very happy, and he believes he's going to cry. Machine gun and anti-tank now get a 20% air interception chance.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest change, actually.
Yeah, and I like Kusi Walker's statement. I'll either laugh or be pissed the first time I see an MG shoot down a stealth bomber.
We also talked about colonies in the past, and as far as technologies and having maps of their parents, well, now that's also addressed in the patch. New colonies have their parents' civ teching, brokering restrictions. They have knowledge of their parents' civs maps, cannot trade away their motherland techs under the no tech brokering option, and they no longer affect the domination limit.
Yeah, and these changes, I believe, actually come from the 3.13 unofficial patch for the most part, because they really make sense.
Significantly increased the barbarian ship spawn. Goody Hut Gold now scales with game speed. Seen some very happy responses to that. Oh, I think my favorite from the gameplay list, quote-unquote favorite, explorers cannot be drafted. What? Who would do that? Why would you? And re-added cap to the number of active corporation executives, now set at 5.
Oh, so we wouldn't have a game like I had where Isabella couldn't build anything. I couldn't figure out why, and I finally get over there, and she's got like about 20 corporate executives sucking all of her money. Well, that would explain a lot.
I like the addition of the recapping, although I find it a little strange that it's 5 as opposed to 3, simply because it's 3 for missionaries, but okay. Under the AI, automated workers no longer idle when railroading is possible. Thank you.
Seriously. Do railroad? What's that?
Fixed bug that caused the AI to trade for resources it already had. Damn you. Oh yes, owned vassal cannot be considered worst enemy by the AI. Aw, shoot, I like that.
Does it work the other way around? Can you hate the person who controls you?
I know I would. Vassals of a capitulating master do not automatically sign peace with the victor. I never recall seeing a capitulating master in a game, but that's good to know.
Well, it makes sense for them not to, because if you take out their master, then they're technically freed to their own independent nation again. Maybe you've been riding over part of what used to be their territory, and they're like, I want it back.
Okay, then over in enhancements, we've mentioned already, it was very much requested the added no espionage game option. Apparently, espionage points become culture points instead. And wonders like the Great Wall, Pentagon, Kremlin, etc., all the ones that ordinarily give great spy points, generate great person points, but great person points of no particular type.
Yeah, and that can be quite a problem, I think. I'm not sure if anyone has tried the exploits yet, but there is certainly room for exploits, because that would allow you to quite easily control what type you get.
Yes, and now that Solver has pointed it out on the show, we will call it Solver's exploit.
Thank you.
Is that because you only have great people points of no particular type?
I'm going to wildly guess that it would just roll randomly between the great people types and give you one at random unless you had something in your city producing extra.
Yeah, or maybe it wouldn't roll randomly, maybe it would just crash. Have to test that.
I added some extra mouse-over information to the diplomacy screen, and as someone pointed out, apparently, now if you meet a civilization and can say, for example, so-and-so is the worst enemy of so-and-so.
It's very helpful.
Haven't seen that yet.
My favorite is they remove some unused code. All right! I've been waiting for this.
Yes, our last chance for a pre-settler level in a patch. Gone.
Oh, no. They added a Mesoamerica mod.
Yeah, apparently that's an in-house mod from Firaxis and comes with a new scenario I've seen reported. A few other map scripts were also added, courtesy some members of the Civ community.
Yeah, the Tectonics map script is really good. I've used it before, so I recommend it.
And then now over in bug fixes, spies no longer bumped out of enemy borders when declaring war. Oh, fixed empire splitting bug where previously existing Civ could be resurrected. My favorite entries here is first, fixed AI crash, and then the second says fixed AI another crash. And then they also made some changes to the Final Frontier and Next War. And that's apparently it. Civilization IV Colonization announced, or as we call it on Apolyton in our forums, Civilization Colonization.
Or as we like to refer to it, colonization.
Oh, so now we're going to start being Colonization Cast instead of Revcast?
The Callcast?
Yeah.
Callcast.
Callcast. Callcast. Only one O from cool.
To which Dan totally negated any possible cool we could have had.
Oh.
In case people have been living under a cave and hadn't heard.
Living under a cave. That would hurt.
In a rock, under a cave, something like that.
Firaxis announced what they refer to as Sid Meier Civilization IV Colonization. Basically, it's colonization based on the Civilization IV engine. For everyone that's been clamoring about a new colonization game, it is now on the horizon.
Finally. Yay!
Woohoo!
And although you may wonder it by the name, you do not in fact need Civilization IV in order to play this.
Yes, it is completely standalone. It's not an expansion. It's like the original colonization was based on the Civ engine, but didn't need Civ.
And it's out this autumn.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's to be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, apparently it seems like, so far, from what they've said about the game, doesn't matter what they say about the game, it's colonization, woohoo!
Finally, the begging worked.
Yeah. Thank you! They seem to, as of right now, have the same 4 countries starting off. They could change it from now until then. The exact same kind of setting, just, I guess, with updated engine, updated gameplay that the Civ IV engine allows. I know some people are trying to clamor for, say, adding Portugal as one of the countries, but it seems like, as the original colonization was, more of a focus on a U.S. type of colonization, revolution type of situation.
Yeah, it's probably much more of a remake than a sequel. It's not called Colonization 2 after all.
I hope they bring some of the bugs from the original game through, such as throwing 100 ton of horses into the Boston Bay.
Boston Horse Party.
Yeah, it's really not much known about at this point, terribly.
No, the things that we do know, there's, like I said, you can play the English, Spanish, French, or Dutch. There's improved diplomacy. We still have the historical figures, the founding fathers and all that sort of thing. Of course, there will be multiplayer, and of course, they'll be very moddable.
So it won't be long anyway until somebody adds Portugal back in.
That's probably true.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the first mod. Look, here's Portugal.
And it seems like the graphics are somewhat updated in them from regular Civ 4. Especially, you can tell the water looks much better. It seems like there's updated city graphics as well. And of course, you still have all the fun of the expert tobacco planters and stuff like that.
I did notice it looked like the 2 Indian villages were producing them, and I couldn't tell if that was on their own or somebody had sent someone there to train.
I don't know. I also like the city walls. It looks so quaint.
You should never read into early screenshots too much because it's still months from release and it probably has some placeholder art in it.
True. I mean, that's what I think about the Indian villages or whatever, building their own.
Yeah. And one screenshot had electrical power icon over a city, which I really doubt they would have.
Good job.
Wow, this game lasts for a long time. Yeah, I see on the first screenshot is the one with the Dutch, I guess. Actually, I think the other city does too.
Someone was saying it was Benjamin Franklin and his kite.
But yeah, like Dan said, we don't know all that much about it. We just know it's happening.
In terms of system requirements, we don't know much. We assume they're going to be similar to Beyond the Sword, but apparently you will need a graphics card with shader 1.1.
You don't need that for Beyond the Sword?
No, Beyond the Sword has support for non-shader cards.
Oh, okay.
It actually only requires DirectX 7 compatibility.
Huh.
Although if you actually try to play the game on such a card, then well...
I was going to say. Shader 1.1, the price for shiny water.
Shiny water. I love it so. Do we know when they're looking towards releasing it?
Yes, Anthony mentioned that.
Well, fall, but I think he was asking if we knew a more specific date yet.
Oh.
Or something more than just fall.
A month, even.
27th of October.
All right. I'll hold you to it. Do you think that they're going to expand the area of colonization and perhaps add Portugal before? Or do you think they're just going to say, we're just going to update our previous formula?
Yeah, they look to be sticking with remake for now, so given that they have announced 4 civilizations, it's quite unlikely that they would suddenly come up with another one. By the way, it's quite unusual for a game to be announced only several months before release. Yeah, it was announced, some 2 weeks ago, and we can assume it will be released in maybe 3-4 months. That's pretty unusual.
Yeah, that is actually. Then just kind of turn it around really quickly.
They've probably been working on it all this time, but they didn't want to take attention away from Civilization Revolution first, because they knew that was going to come out first, and they're like, well, we need to let that go out and get free, and then we'll go, oh, look, and we got Colonization for you, too.
Yeah, because it really has the same target audience.
Well, somewhat, but not exactly.
The whole PC versus console thing?
I actually assume that most players who play Civ IV now may have not heard of Colonization, or at least not played it. It's 10 years old now or something.
It's actually a little older than that.
I was going to say, when it come in 94, so it's like 4 years old.
Yeah.
Is it?
Between the original Civ and Civ 2.
Don't you feel old now. Ha ha!
Wow, yeah, it's 1994. Oh, God.
I was playing this in college, man.
The one thing is they really did keep a lid on it pretty well. People were hoping, but no one said, oh, we might do colonization.
Got news? Email news@apolyton.net or send a private message to DanQ, Locutus, or one of the other news editors.
Welcome to the Senate, where we discuss game strategy. How to use national parks?
Question by Accipiter Q. For those wondering, national park, national wonder, +3 culture, costs 300 gold, requires biology, removes your city's access to coal, no unhealthiness from population, +1 specialist for every forest preserve, and a city more likely to generate a great scientist. Requires Beyond the Sword. Expansion. Mad Scientist argues that the National Forest requires more forethought than any of the other national wonders. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll decide, yes, there's a city that would be worthwhile for it, or no, there isn't a city that would be worthwhile for it, and usually for me, I don't end up building it at all.
That's the worst solution.
Yeah, but sometimes you also have to be lucky enough to have a spot that's a good city spot and that has a bunch of forest around it. You don't always get that depending on the map.
I just end up don't building it because I'm
Dead by then.
Oh.
No, I just always find something more important to build. If I even think, oh, this city site might be good for a national park. I end up thinking, yeah, well, for example, I still have the forests in here. I think the lumber mill. I decided I'd rather go with that, for instance. My unhealthiness, yeah, it's a bit of a concern. Oh, I'll just make sure I've got aqueducts and I've got hospitals in here. I think the strongest argument for the National Park Wonder is the +1 specialist for every forest preserve that you do have.
Yeah, because the big difference is that you don't actually have to work those forest preserves. So you can have a size 10 city that is working 10 non-forested squares, and you can still get a free specialist. It's a unique tile improvement in that you do not have to work it to gain the benefits.
Yes, I will agree it's better to have those forest preserves there if you can't work it, as opposed to, well, I can't work this forest tiles, I'll just put lumber mills on there, so that's what they'd work if I could. That I could see. For me, it would have to be a city that would be stuck in a situation like that it wouldn't actually be able to work it.
If you've got the engineers, then that gives you more hammers than the lumber mill would.
Yeah, so the forest preserves are more flexible. You can get the hammers from engineers if you want to, but you can also get anything else. Like 10 specialists in a city, it's really powerful.
Yeah, I guess I just don't usually end up with cities that are like that. I guess when it comes to city placement, I'm always thinking, all right, how am I going to be able to expand the city, and how is it going to balance in terms of hammers? So I got to make sure I got to have a few hills, but otherwise I've got grasslands and plains and maybe some floodplains, and so it's growing, and I've got specialists anyway because population is in excess of 20.
Founded religion, and not adopt now or wait? I usually adopt it right away, but, well, it depends. I guess the question is, when you find your first religion, do you immediately adopt, or as you delay? The first religion I find, I always adopt it. Usually because it's very early and most of my cities haven't been converted to some other religion. I can perhaps see if, say, people don't go after religion and all of their cities are another religion or something like that, but
well, unless I have an immediate danger and I don't want the turn of anarchy because I need to build military units to keep myself alive. I do. So, I mean, that's just a very situational thing, though. If I found a religion, I'm going to adopt it. I'll adopt it right away because then I'll want to switch to organized religion. I want my religion to spread. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to keep that religion for the entire game, however, which I think some people in the thread think might be, because it's like, oh, well, if there's another religion that spreads and it's more dominant to you, then, well, yeah, depending upon the strength of that religion and the strength of the units that have that other religion, maybe I will. Some people have said that they found that, well, if I don't adopt the religion, then an AI's religion will spread more easily to my civilization, and then that means, for example, I can have more monasteries. I haven't found that to be the case, or that the religion is more likely to spread if you don't adopt one yourself. It might be more likely to spread if you don't spread the religion that you've adopted. For example, a religion spreading into a city that doesn't already have a religion. But I'm certainly not going to sit around and wait for the AI to spread it to me, because I want that benefit from the organized religion civic. And I want to be able to start building temples and monasteries as soon as I can.
The organized religion benefit isn't even that early. If you adopt a religion in the opening turns, as in you can found one right away, then you get the culture bonus, which is really important because you can pop your borders on new cities without building monuments. And I noticed some people in that thread are afraid of AIs that will hate you if you have the wrong religion, but
they'll hate you anyway.
Those diplomacy modifiers are actually instantaneous, so you can switch to their religion if you really need to, and the negative modifier will be gone immediately.
There's a good way for competitive play and to have other people give you advice. That's the Apolyton University.
And we would find that where? Jeez.
Apolyton.net/forums?
Really? Wow. How could I figure that out from Apolyton University?
I don't know.
Sometimes I wonder.
This is Forum Talk, where we investigate hot Civ issues in the forums. Optimizer says less is more.
What Civ 4 features do you want less of in Civ 5, I guess is the way he put it.
Bugs?
It seems actually that the one that's winning right now, only 7 votes, but still, is included scenarios, which surprises me.
I think most people don't play them.
Or at least those that voted.
Yeah, I still don't get the hostility, though.
Yeah, I mean, some people do.
Well, they presumably want everything else in, so they're just choosing the one that they don't use.
That's a smart idea.
Yeah, I guess they're figuring, well, I don't play scenarios, so why should they spend the time making them get it out sooner?
Yeah, why would you want less military units? Less religion, less terrain improvements, less civics. I want all this stuff.
And number 2 seems to be less unit promotions and special skills. Which I guess in some levels I can kind of understand if it gets too overwhelming for some people, but I mean, that creates more strategic possibilities.
Yeah, but it could probably still use less of actual units. I mean, not unit types, but units on the board. Because when you have 150 units in the late game, then it really becomes a management pain in the ass to move them around and everything. Everyone has had those stacks of 70 units.
Yeah.
And several of those running around.
Yeah.
Oh, and less workers, please.
That's why you go on suicide missions, to keep them down. I agree with the comment of fewer spies. They're very, very annoying.
Oh, another one.
I'm going to go with Balderstorm. He says, I wouldn't want less of anything, while the adage less is more might be quoted here. He says it'd be better to streamline the interface and some game mechanics and start yanking things out.
I thought you were the one who wanted less difficulty.
Pre-settler.
I've let that dream go.
It'll never occur. Are diplomatic, religious victories too easy? Says Nintendo Tokebi.
It seems to be that some consensus that the UN victory is okay, but that the Apostolic Palace religious victory is far too easy. In the first part of the thread, then, towards the second part of the thread, people say, diplomacy is way too easy to win.
There's been a couple of times I've built the UN just to get the diplomatic victory, and then it's like they vote for an AI, and I lose. That's no fun.
Like, why the hell did I do that for?
Well, yeah, it has always been a pretty awkward mechanic. It doesn't even really have anything to do with diplomacy half of the time, because if you have enough population, you can just vote for yourself, and it's all that matters.
Mind you, if the UN doesn't work, then it's a reflection of life, really.
I've seen a few Apostolic Palace victory wins, and I've even won that myself once, but I really don't think a diplomatic victory is that easy.
I can't believe it. You actually won a game?
Oh.
Uh-oh, he's got a one-up on me in the eventual podcast multiplayer game. Does anyone think that these victories are too easy to accomplish?
They can be too cheesy to accomplish.
Time victory.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's a cheesy one. Just coast right on in.
I'll ride it out.
I think no one finds that with BTS anyway, that getting a religious victory with the Apostolic Palace is too easy, or that suddenly even getting United Nations victory, diplomatic victory, is too easy.
Well, it's easier than before anyway.
Yeah, diplomatic is not as easy as it looks.
I wouldn't say it's easy, but it certainly brings it to an abrupt end. As soon as someone does build it, someone wins the diplomatic victory very quickly. Whether it's you, it's another matter.
But if someone else builds it, you just go raise the city. Like, how's that for diplomacy?
See, that's my problem. That's my usual diplomatic overtures.
Even games I've found with the Apostolic Palace and the UN, if that vote actually comes up, people trying to go for the diplomatic victory, because I find that if the AI builds it, that usually means that I'm not in the running, because it's the only way I can be in the running is if I build it, because I'm not usually at the top. But when the AI builds it, I find they very rarely even bring that to a vote for the diplomatic victory. What they like to do is they like to propose resolutions that have already passed.
It's like, let's vote on free trade agreement for the millionth time.
I see, that could be perhaps an interesting mod, as if a UN resolution passes and then they put it up again and it fails, then now it's no longer in favor. Now that it's you have to vote on it again to get it agreed to again, but only as a mod, but that's for another show.
So if you voted against emancipation, all those free people would become slaves again.
Yeah. The only victory that's too easy is the World Builder victory. End of discussion.
The Dan victory, as it's called.
Bovine Spy says resolve, the Ballista Elephant is the crappiest unique unit in the game. As has been pointed out, when you talk about the crappiest or the best unique unit or kind of middle of the line, whatever, it's all very situational. I'm not certain I can think of any unique unit I would say crappiest, but it wouldn't be the Ballista Elephant.
Yeah, it's the most situational, however, because you get ivory less than half of the time, and so it can sometimes be a little bit frustrating when you don't even get a chance to build it.
That it can target any mounted unit first in combat outside of cities is good. I like that, but again, that is also very situational.
Yeah, because if you're trying to defend a city and there's a stack of mounted units right next to you, it means you actually have to move outside the city and then attack. And if you don't have enough moves left, that could leave you vulnerable to counterattack, and then you'd lose all those units. If you were pulling them in from a city somewhere else, or, yeah, very situational.
And if you're now opening your copy of Civ IV and are like, I can't find it talked about in the Civilpedia, what the hell? Then you're not running Beyond the Sword, because it's the unique unit of the Khmer. So I take it we're all in agreement then that the statement's not true and there really is no crappiest unique unit, although you could discuss, for example, those that are too situational or so situational that they're not something that you would specifically go for, that, for example, be the Khmer so I can get the Ballista Elephant just in case this situation comes up, in which case it's to my advantage.
Yeah, somebody should have an Explorer unique unit.
Yeah, I think the most versatile unique units are the best ones. It's like the Indian worker, can use that whenever you like. You don't have to worry about the situation.
The alternate commando effect. The commando promotion allows you to use enemy roads and railroads as if they were your own, but requires you to have the Combat 4 promotion and the military science technology, and can apply to recon artillery mounted, melee, gunpowder, and armored units. But minor annoyance, that's the username, says it doesn't seem that useful. It comes so far into the promotion tree that you'll likely never have a newly built unit to take it right away. This means that you'll need an experienced unit to have it, and because of what the promotion does, that would mean you'd be leaving that unit alone in enemy territory, and you're sure to lose that high experience unit, unquote. I'm not certain if that means you'd leave that unit alone in their enemy territory. But yeah, when it comes to the commando promotion, I'll see it with the spies, and that's about it.
Yeah, the best solution would probably be to change its location in the promotion tree a bit so that you could actually have a small group of commando units. Because if you only have one unit, then you do have to leave it in enemy territory if you are to use the bonus. But if you could have a small group of commando units, even if it's only 4 units, then you could really make it a pain, say, use them as a massive pillaging force, maybe.
Yeah, Balderstorm says that he believes the primary use for the commando promotion is for scouting purpose, so you can send your attack in the right direction. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, you still don't want to risk that high of an experienced unit sticking its nose out and going, what's over here? Oh, stack of death. Hi.
And by the time you can build those units, you can do aerial recon with airships usually, so that's better.
Well, that's what you're supposed to use the spy for.
Well, not now that we have the option to disable them.
That's what they're there for.
Well, assuming that you don't disable them. If you do, sucks to be you then. King Flevance said that he modified it so that you could get the commando promotion after Combat 1, but I think that's a little low. Combat 2, for instance, because as the economizer points out, the extra speed is incredibly devastating as it lets you quickly move to the front lines to the next level of cities, although I think I'd modify that to say the extra speed can be incredibly devastating because, of course, if you quickly move, say, I don't know, a spearman, and then you find out that, oh, gee, I wasn't paying that close attention. Why do they have guns? Oh, that extra speed just meant that they were able to more quickly go to their demise.
Run away, run away.
Run away.
I don't agree with Magma Dragoon, who says it's a useless promotion because only spies who start it will ever have it. I just think it gets one of those promotions that you're not likely going to see because of the way they've got it set up at this point. Someone also suggested that making it available sooner before military science, King Flevance made it unlockable at Compass. But I think if we lower its requirement down the promotion tree in terms of what you need to get as far as combat before you can get it. Balderstorm also says that if there was a way to say a promotion was available to any unit at X level experience, so any level 3 or 4 unit.
It could actually be modded in.
Yes, but as a main gameplay point, it would have been nice to see it available, not require Combat 4, but as sit down and say Combat 2. It's not useless, don't use it as scouts, and if you're really missing it, just build lots of spies. Of course, there's also the issue of, well, can use enemy roads and railroads. Like, that's ridiculous from a realistic point of view. But as is pointed out, gameplay-wise, you can see why. And as Skip says, also, in terms of realism, if you want the realism argument, that an invading army was more likely to avoid using enemy roads. That brings us to bring back multi-level, multi-layer maps. Grog1 asks, is there any way to implement multiple tier maps in Civ IV? Maps with several parallel planes, like in Civilization 2 Test of Time, which was the last Civ 2 expansion pack, or Master of Magic. I would love to see that capability revived for modding. So perhaps he's not even thinking it should be revived just at all. Well, I like the idea of it, but how would that really play out gameplay-wise?
I remember trying to use it in Call to Power, and it was just very, very annoying. The underwater and the space, and I just wanted everything on one level so I could see it all in one go, rather than to have to worry about multiple levels.
Yeah, but it would still work for mods. I know that at least 2 teams of modders tried to implement the feature, but it has proven very difficult to do so far.
Yeah, I think it would be a good addition for those who want it, but I wouldn't add it in, force out everyone to use it.
No, it's not for the main game. But it would enable a whole new style of scenarios. For example, scenarios where you colonize another planet and, well, Test of Time stuff, basically.
Call in today.
In North America, the number is 301-637-7659. That's 301-637-POLY. In Europe, 44-121-288-7659. That's 44-121-288-POLY.
You can Skype us at the PolyCast or email us at polycast@apolyton.net.
For more information on PolyCast, our sibling show ModCast, or about PolyCast in general,
log on to the series' official website at polycast.apolyton.net.
Come on into the research lab where we explore concepts that are not in Civ yet, but maybe in the future.
Thieves and bandits. Infantry 14 discusses the option for thieves, bandits, pirates, the mob, and the gangster units that can go around pillaging and getting more gold out of their attacks on enemy lands. Personally, I find that very annoying.
Basically, they kind of want privateers on land.
I like privateers at sea, but that's what they stay at sea.
I like the idea of a land-based privateer, but as for this particular system,
Well, it strikes me that what people would do is they'd come in with their stack of units, and then they'd have one of these units with it to do all the pillaging work for them, whilst the rest of the stack attacks.
Yeah, and in the end you just run around your land, try to hunt that bandit unit down, and it will probably become quite repetitive quickly.
Infantry 14 does suggest a maximum of 4 thieves and bandits at a time, and then when you get to pirate, mob, and gangster, you can have a maximum of 8.
Yeah, but you can still replace them and keep annoying the other players.
True, you can annoy other players with privateers as well. However,
As far as I can remember, quite a few games tried to create units that are good for these sabotage missions and indirect combat, but every time it has been done, most players find them annoying.
I do like the privateers, because they're only there for a short period of time, and it gives your naval units something to do, which often they just sit around doing nothing.
Yeah, whereas with land-based units, we have plenty of units to pick from that can do that kind of stuff at all eras, so I don't know that you necessarily need separate units like that.
I do like the idea of a promotion that gives you more pillage points.
The Gravedigger promotion.
Yeah.
he suggests that if you can get to Pillage 3, in addition to pillaging gold plus 100%, like with Pillage 2, roads and railroad pillaging now yield gold.
How do you pillage a road? Just out of curiosity.
Well, I guess you destroy it.
You dig up the dirt and you take it away in a wheelbarrow.
Or if it's a highway, you get a jackhammer and you just break it up into big chunks so nobody can drive on it.
I said I'd like to have the idea of a land-based privateer, but it would only be one unit, roughly the same time, kind of a limited usage, kind of like Anthony was getting at. There's a Civilization Revolution contest ongoing on Apolyton right now called Revolution Awaits. Have a look at my multi-part preview of Civ Rev. Answer 5 questions, and each of your 5 questions, if you answer them correctly and spell them correctly, your name will be put into a draw to win either a Civ Rev community t-shirt or one of the Xbox 360 faceplates, both images of which are available on the entry form. If you happen to include your Apolyton username, you can win a 6-month subscription as well to Apolyton Plus, our optional subscription service, whether you choose one prize or the other, or you can gift it to somebody else if you like. Speaking of strange, how many people would pay to watch other people play Civ in person?
None.
Not I. I can play it myself, thanks.
Depends who they are and what they're wearing.
Girls playing Civ.
There you go.
Definitely.
This thread started by Grish Nash, the Test of Time event proposal to Firaxis, actually having it so that you go somewhere, set place, set time, watch people play. I actually like the fees. You have an entry fee, a participation fee, personal observation fee, forfeiting fee. My favorite, though, is the rations fee, because no outside food or drink is allowed.
Rations? What, is Civ in danger from performance-enhancing drugs? Come on.
This is a good time for a diversion. Let's all wish Dan a happy birthday.
Woohoo, thank you.
Happy birthday to you.
You crazy Canadian.
Happy birthday.
Yes, the big 2-7.
Thank you for joining us for episode 47 of PolyCast, an official podcast of Apolyton Civilization Site. You've been listening to, somewhat unfortunately, DanQ.
Happy birthday to me.
Who turns a very nicely aged 27 today, and he won't let us forget it. Also joining us is Makahlua.
Hi, bye.
The always lovely Maki, who adds a little bit of femaleness to our shows. Which is always welcome because, you know. What?
Are you whispering sweet nothings in Imran's ear? Hey.
Hey, usually that's Cardamandua who does that. Unfortunately, she could not join us this week. This is why you've missed her voice. But instead, we've dredged up Dauphin.
Cheers to be here.
And Solver.
Until next time.
Oh, so there will be a next time.
Yeah, there will be.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Yeah. Damn it.
You don't want to say Dear Dan?
No, happy birthday, singing Canadian. Happy birthday to you. No one joined in. What the hell?
Imran, you suck up.
You guys are a bunch of assholes.
Sure enough.
And I'm not jumping out of the cake.
Woo!
I said not.
Since Imran's going to be away for a couple of episodes after this...
Yay!
Oh, I just need you to also say an official podcast of Apolyton Civilization Site.
The official podcast of Apolyton Civilization Site.
And now you're going to get hate mail from the ModCast channel. No. All right, nobody knows. Excellent. It wasn't that interesting anyway.
I wasn't listening, what?
What was that?
You hungry?
Yeah. Oops. Hold on.
God.
Don't put mute on.
We want to hear your phone call.
Okay, they may talk about these topics on the forums, but not here. Record date June 21st, 2008. Sound clips copyright Civilization IV, The Warlords, and the Beyond the Sword expansion packs. Copyright 2008, Apolyton Civilization Site at apolyton.net.